Howdy, cadre. Same night. I am getting a little bit tired of recording, so let's let's walk the path of exile as it stands now. This is what I've done alone before inviting anyone onto the server. Um, I lost my signs in a creeper explosion here, and the sun is setting. I've already, if you've watched the last video, I've already shown well, this way's faster, anyways. The bear cave and this little starter area is open to everybody to use. It would be nice if people replanted crops and trees, but the idea of this path of exile is that it's kind of a lawless swath. So the idea is that the king's protection, the king's expectations, the king's rules, singular is better, the king's rule, because that encapsulates the idea of ownership as well as control, protection, all of that. The king's rule extends from 0, 0 here, 2,000 in every direction, but the exception is this path of exile, which, other than this little starter area, the the wall defines the east end of this path of exile, and then the north and south edges are bordered by this cherry blossom. I I like this design I came up with. It's inspired by things I've seen in pop culture, movies, stuff like what's the best specific? Planet of the Apes, or maybe something like Mad Max. But Planet of the Apes is the best specific. I've seen it in other things too, where you're dealing with the undead or barbarians or like orcs or some other. Usually it's for some forbidden zone. Um, and people will erect some sort of warning or foreboding to not enter. So, anyways, this is a nice mix of cute and foreboding with the jack-o'-lanterns. I was using the campfires initially to see where the edge was, but I realized just incorporating them in the boundary is kind of nice. It gives extra audio visual cues. I could have said clues or cues, and they were both fine, but I got hung up on which of the two I wanted to use. So, anyways, the this was fun to build with. I did it in creative mode up to a certain point, and then planted trees. But I have my own rules for creative mode that I'm not going to talk about right here. Anyways, sorry. So, the idea is that this path is open to anybody who's been exiled to leave the territory, and it's nice that just I think it's 50 blocks in either direction. By building up with the trees, you've got a pretty good visual of the limits without even paying attention to it. I mean, you could lose track of east and west, but um, for people in the know, the sun and moon can help with that. Anyways, the idea here is this will be a lawless land too, just like outside of 2000, beyond 2000, greater than 2000. Um, and people can, you know, build their own houses here if they want. Um, Starter homes. You know, obviously there's resources here that can be used by anybody. Um, but yeah, the Path of Exile, this is where I've started doing some major reworking. There was lava in a cave underneath that I had to kind of dig to discover. I could hear it, but I had to dig down a little bit to discover it. But I thought it would make a nice centerpiece. I like this big tree here, and I thought this would make a nice centerpiece for a, like, just cleft rift. I thought it would be kind of cool if the Path of Exile seemed um, even from the start seemed kind of rough and worked. Um, so this is kind of like a mine area I've started with, you know, some of the results of my digging, my own personal bed, and just some stuff that I've collected. Obviously, things in here are stuff that I've collected. I haven't been here a little while, so anyways, let's get some sleep here. So this is about halfway to the shore. I thought it would be a good... well, there's multiple options for where people can sleep initially. Buy spawn here halfway. And the idea is if you're traveling... Oh, and then I've started a mine that also heads west. A slow slope. But the general idea is that exiles can follow this path, the shore. Here we get to the coast, and you can either kind of burrow through. And again, I got another bed here and more crops. The idea being to give people some resources. No matter what the timing of the day-night cycle, if they start up, they can sleep by spawn halfway or here. And then the idea from here is to grab a boat and head west. And I just felt like making a dock here. And I thought this was funny, that, like, it's a walk the plank thing. Where the exiles are invited to just, you know, go take a long walk off a short pier. So, anyways, that's the start of that nonsense. More resources just from around here. Then, yeah, from this path, we've got a slow descent started. And my idea with this is provide yet another option to people who are going the path of exiles. Being, you can either jump on a boat and sail across the ocean. There are dangers involved in that. The other choice is going to be here going under the ocean. Once to a sufficient depth, and I think that's where I've gotten to. I've started running into I think I started running into water down here as I'm digging, which makes it hard. Anyways, the idea is it'll be another option. Go under the ocean Um, you know, sleep in beds on the other side. Oh, look at this. What did I do here? I don't remember. We're starting back up again. Oh, fun. Mines. And caves. Caves and mines, oh my. Oh, yeah. Gosh, my mind has been on so much lately that I forgot this stuff was here. So this doesn't lead anywhere yet. But I did get under the ocean and found some mines. So this is a kind of starting place in its own right. If some exiles wanted to start their adventure living underground, yeah, this is an option, and I may expand this a little bit. Well, I don't know. My initial goal was to get all the way under the sea. But now that I've found areas of interest that are under the sea, I could just leave it at that. Certainly people... it's hard to find wood underground, but that's one advantage of having the mines there, is there's some wood you could take with you or harvest from there. And in addition to that, if that was the route you were going, you could certainly just stock up on wood before you left. Or other options. But one advantage is that there's some digging already taken care of for you. You can get down deep there quickly. So if you're going straight for diamonds or whatever, that's an option. And that's my goal, is to help people with various play styles. Except, like I said, selfish ones. I don't want exiles racing for certain key game things alone before the community does. Certainly stuff like beating the dragon for the first time. Finding the end. I mean the cities, the end cities. I'm not so worried about stuff like netherite and generated structures and such, except for within the kingdom. Anyways, those are the basics for the exile. Yeah, I really like this seed and how this is generated, that we've got this nice walk west that works out so well. And now that I've defined it on edges, the north and south edges here, it's a clear area that can be used, harvested, pretty much without rules by anybody on the server. My hope is some of this stuff will be respected to some extent, like the lava pit, the giant tree, but whatever, you know. It is what it is. I'm not going to be resetting the server to fix things on the path of exile. It is meant to be somewhat rough and used. So, yeah, I guess the other important thing to point out for exiles is it's not a permanent path. If people want to talk to me on Discord, promise to do better at following the guidelines, stuff like that, I'll entertain it. I'm a forgiving and patient person. Like I said, for more serious things, I'll be less forgiving, but part of my purpose in setting up this kingdom in the way I am is to allow different play styles, and if people prefer to go it alone, they can go out on their own um, with just some of these basics in mind. There's certainly space for them, and if they change their mind in the future, we'll talk about that and let them back into the kingdom. I think it's a great idea for us to combine resources and efforts, contribute towards each other's goals. Um, Everybody ends up, in the course of normal play, everybody ends up with a lot of junk. I suppose, except for people that throw it in lava or whatever, or leave it on the ground to despawn. But yeah, I'm really hopeful that with the basic idea of those C's in mind, the cooperation, collaboration, um, communication, coordination, yeah, I'm hoping it'll be inspiring for each other and supportive for people who really want to accomplish things but don't know how. This might be a way to do that. Um, of course, creative mode is accessible to everyone, but the real goal here is shared experience and a shared sense of working together to build something. And I've done that for years alone on servers. I've built things for myself, for my own enjoyment. Sorry, not for shared experience, but I've built things for myself, for my own enjoyment. And it's only during recent years that I decided to start sharing some of it through YouTube. Um, but that certainly isn't it's just the tippiest tip of the iceberg for the number of worlds I've generated and the amount of time I've spent in them, building things, sometimes elaborate, but often very functional. And I like the idea of working together towards things that we can't achieve alone, and yeah, building friendships and a sense of community and shared purpose and shared memories and experiences and all that stuff. And like I said, the exiles can re-enter the kingdom through, talking with me through Discord about whatever happened that led to exile. And another idea I have, which has shifted again, because there are payment systems for Minecraft servers that I was thinking about using, and it got complicated, and I think I abandoned it. It's another layer that I could add later, but I don't think I need now. For right now, I'll just let people play for free as long as they've joined the Discord and are talking about it through there. And down the road, hopefully somebody can contribute money so that we can upgrade to a server that's on 24/7, a better server that can handle more players, with better controls or bells and whistles, whatever. Those are the basic ideas. And all I wanted to say there with the idea of the exiles is my thought was to allow people in through a pay what you want model, a one-time pay what you want model. The idea being that if you are willing to pay anything monthly, that you're going to get lord status right away, which comes with a big land grant, whatever, uh, in an area of your choice, favored status, stuff in the game, casual, casual rewards. And that way, paying people get a reward in the game that kind of saves time or whatever. They don't have to build as much or contribute as much. If they're giving real world money, they can skip any of that towards contributing to the kingdom, because that's probably one of the best contributions of all is providing real world money to support the quality of the server. So my thought was to let other people in, who didn't want the monthly cost, through a one-time pay what you want fee that could be zero. It would keep out kids without access to a credit card that couldn't explain it to their parents. And maybe some people that were turned off by the idea of it being needing a credit card at all, or looking like a pay to enter thing, even though it could be zeroed out. My thought was, ask for like $17 once, but if it's pay what you want, you could change it to zero. Anyways, the idea being that all of these people would start as free men who are subjects to the kingdom if they so choose, if they choose to cooperate and contribute, or who can just become exiles from the start. And then, self-chosen exiles would be different from the banished exiles. Anyways, but I've abandoned the paid entry for now because that system was complicated, and I think I'd rather just talk with people for now. And if somebody says they're willing to contribute, we can deal with that on a case-by-case basis, and talk about what upgrades to the server they'd like to see. Stuff like that. Serve their needs first and foremost. And in terms of setting up tiers and billing, I'm not sure where to start. And so the first person who volunteers to pay is probably going to have a lot of input on what that tier looks like. If they say, oh yeah, I'll throw $7 per month at it, that's going to blow my mind, but it's going to really contribute to the quality of the server and the amount of time I can dedicate to it. And I will create a tier just for them based on that and tailor it around that, so that if other people want to contribute to an equal level, they can get equal benefits, and figure all that out as we go. But yeah, the exiles versus subject thing, I thought would be a nice thing that's separate from the Lord titles, which can be granted through various contributions and can also involve various benefits in-game, and then also kind of separate the kind of rule breakers or troublemakers who want to play on the server in a different way but are willing to just stay away from the kingdom, follow some basic rules, and then not do this contribute collaborate thing. So those are the basics. Regardless, I hope you're willing to communicate with me. Join the Discord. There's an invite link, I hope, in the description. Insert catchphrase here.